All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer. Our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack the observation record of Tommy Yoshida, also known as Yoshida Tsutomu. He documented this incredible journey across both his Japanese and international editions, going from a purely digital space right into physical reality. We aren't just doing a how to publish a book tutorial today, though. No, we're using Yoshida's experience as a launchpad to really chew on a much bigger question. We want to deepen our contemplation on how teaming up with AI might just be the ultimate way to expand our own individual potential. So, let's get into it.
Okay, I want you to just sit with this question for a second. What actually happens when you stop trying to do everything completely on your own? Seriously, think about your own personal projects. Those ideas you've sketched out but never quite pushed across the finish line. How often do you just hit a brick wall because you're missing one specific, super technical skill? Look, for a lot of us independent creators, working solo is a massive point of pride. But if we're being honest, it can kind of become a cage, right? We fall into this trap of thinking that if we can't master every single step ourselves, the vision just dies. But what if the real secret isn't learning how to do everything, but learning how to brilliantly delegate the stuff that trips you up?
Okay, let's dive into this and look at Yoshida's actual background here. For years, he was totally in his element in the digital world. He was a successful author pushing out ebooks on Amazon Kindle. The process was slick. Write the manuscript, mock up a digital cover, hit upload, and boom, readers globally are downloading it to their phones and tablets instantly. And for a long time, that was his whole publishing universe. Fast, efficient, zero inventory to worry about. But like a lot of digital creators, he had this lingering itch. He really wanted to physically hold his own book in his hands. He wanted to cross that massive barrier from a glowing screen into the actual physical world.
But here's the thing. Moving from digital to physical, it is definitely not just clicking a print button. Yoshida slammed right into what we can call the wall of publishing. To make a physical paperback, you are suddenly hit with highly specific, really unforgiving technical decisions. You've got to figure out the trim size. You have to calculate the exact width of the spine down to the millimeter based on your page count. You need to build a single, flawless file that aligns the front spine and back cover perfectly. And don't even get me started on bleed and safe zones. For a writer who isn't living inside professional design software every day, these aren't just tiny bumps in the road. They are complex, intensely mathematical, and just ridiculously frustrating barriers.
Actually, listen to Yoshida's own words on this. He wrote, "I tried several times before, and each time I gave up somewhere along the way." Man, how relatable is that? How many of us have a digital graveyard of half-finished projects just sitting on our hard drives? Yoshida had the content. The drive was absolutely there. But the sheer friction of all those technical specs, it forced him to just abandon the dream multiple times. The cognitive overload of trying to play writer, editor, graphic designer, and pre-press technician all at the exact same time, it was just too much. He hit the absolute limit of what he could pull off alone.
And this brilliantly illustrates the turning point. This time around, Yoshida didn't try to bash through the wall by magically becoming a print expert overnight. Instead, he brought in a partner, ChatGPT. He set up a really clear, really smart division of labor. On one side, you have the human, Yoshida himself. He's bringing the judgment, the creative direction, the ultimate responsibility. He decides on the content, the vibe, the pricing, the final say. On the other side, the AI. It handles the brutal calculation, the data organization, the technical heavy lifting. It crunched the layout math and translated all that printing jargon. He didn't replace himself, he supercharged his capabilities by handing off the exact friction points that made him quit before. To really wrap our heads around why this works, we have to talk about something that literally does not exist in ebooks: thickness. In a digital file, your page count is just a tiny number chilling at the bottom of a screen. But print that out, that digital data suddenly has physical mass. It gets thick. And that thickness is the absolute bane of a solo creator's existence, because the width of your spine has to mathematically match the exact thickness of your specific paper type multiplied by your page count. By throwing that messy geometry problem over to his AI partner, Yoshida completely bypassed the trap. The AI did the math, the human got to focus on the art.
Now, I want to be super clear here. This wasn't some magic wand situation where the AI just spat out a perfect file on day one. It was a gritty, real-world workflow. In fact, Yoshida's very first cover file was totally rejected by Amazon KDP. The text was just a bit too close to the physical cut line. But instead of giving up, they entered this amazing revision loop. The AI didn't freak out. It just calmly read Amazon's error message, crunched the numbers for the new safe zones, and handed Yoshida the updated dimensions. Yoshida plugged them in, visually checked it, and hit resubmit. It was this highly practical, iterative dance between human judgment and machine precision.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the financial reality of crossing this physical barrier. Let's break it down neutrally. Yoshida priced his paperback at 1,680 Japanese yen, trying to keep it super accessible. Out of that, printing it on demand costs 820 yen. Amazon's cut and the platform fees take up 672 yen. So that leaves a royalty of 188 yen per book for the author. At a glance, you might be thinking, wow, is that a small slice? But let's put that into perspective. In Japan's traditional commercial publishing world, general books usually net authors around 10%, and kids' books around 8%. So on a 1,680 yen book in the traditional system, you'd be looking at roughly 168 or 134 yen anyway.
And seeing those numbers laid out like that led Yoshida to a really profound realization. It's not just a matter of looking at how much money you get. It's about observing who does what work to drag a book into existence. Think about traditional publishing. You've got an army of people, editors, proofreaders, layout designers, printers, truck drivers, sales reps. They are all doing intense labor to get that book onto a physical shelf. The revenue split reflects that army. In the self-published, print-on-demand world, the author is taking on the massive cognitive load of preparing the file, while the platform handles the literal printing and shipping. The money flow is just a perfect mirror of the division of labor.
So, after all of that, the technical jargon, the spine math, the rejections, the AI revisions, Yoshida finally got the email he had been waiting years to see. The subject line was so simple: your paperback is now published. Just imagine the sheer emotional weight of that one sentence. For a guy who had literally given up on this dream multiple times because the solo mountain was too steep to climb, seeing those words meant the wall had finally been knocked down. His digital data was now a tangible, real-world object that anyone could go and buy.
Which brings us to the sheer physical reality of it all. Look, ebooks are amazing. They're lightning fast, they cross borders instantly, no boxes to store. But a physical paperback? It's a completely different sensory ballgame. It's printed on demand, it gets boxed up and shipped, it has a spine you can spot from across the living room. You can slide it onto a wooden bookshelf. And most importantly, someone can literally hold it in their hands and feel the pages turn. By partnering with AI, Yoshida didn't just transfer some data from a server, he manifested actual physical matter into the world. So the crucial point is this realization right here. AI does not have to replace human skills. Sometimes its absolute greatest value is just helping us cross a barrier that was slightly beyond what we could pull off alone. That's the real core of our contemplation today. We hear so much chatter and anxiety about AI taking over human creativity, but Yoshida's record completely flips that script. It paints AI as a tool for incredible expansion, a partner that gladly eats up the rigid mathematical friction, so the human is finally free to finish the art.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the ultimate win here wasn't just a single printed book. Honestly, that first book is just the prototype. What Yoshida really built was a highly repeatable AI-human collaborative workflow. He now knows the exact recipe, how to set trim sizes, where the bleed goes, how to price it, and crucially, exactly which tasks belong to the AI and which belong to him. That first book was a grueling experiment in fighting friction, but the second book and the third, they're going to flow through a well-oiled collaborative machine.
Which brings us right back to you. We've just seen how offloading some gnarly spine math and margin calculations let a digital creator literally manifest a physical product. So here's my final thought for you to chew on today. Look at the abandoned projects sitting in your own life, those brilliant ideas you shelved because they were just too technical or too difficult to tackle by yourself. If you had an AI partner sitting right next to you, ready to take on the math, the organization, the technical headaches, what impossible barriers could you cross next? Just something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep building, and I'll see you next time.